Hello, everyone. Nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. Today, I did go and throw in 50 bucks into the Shadowkin summon pool. So we're going to be summoning those up in just a minute. First of all, though, I do have some interesting stuff from community member M. Fabian. He's done a lot of Hydra testing, and I've mentioned him a couple of times in videos recently. So he's got some info on the last Fusion Lysanthier Beastbane. We can see here. In fact, I can bring up a bigger version of this picture. Here you go. On Nightmare Hydra, it's an hour and 15 minutes, so manual. But nonetheless, we can see he's come in with a Deliana, Lysanthier, Fina, Island team with Feral and Teox, and it's done 1.35 billion damage. What does he have to say about it? Feel bad for everyone who skipped the fusion. It's his worst rotation and not optimized. He'd be better off without the decreased speed debuff, though. His speed needs to be slower, or all the speeds need to be slower because of decreased speed. I suppose that's compared to somewhat like a Trunda. You'd have to switch it a little bit with Trunda, just because Trunda's not a high elf. So for the full Fina benefit, you'd have to put in somebody else instead of the Teox. But the Deliana, Islan, Fina, I think Feral is fairly standard Trunda stuff, I think. I don't keep up with Trunda stuff too much. It's not interesting to me, but there you are. Three things. All CCs missed on Lysanthier. His A2 can infinitely hit. He joins ally attacks with A2, and his A2 has a godlike multiplier. So it's always interesting to get another perspective on the fusion. I mean, it's actually, let me bring it up here too. Yeah, I just think looking at the posts on my page and polls and stuff, it's interesting. I do feel like, wow, like looking at this, Ishiyama the Immovable, are people going to be prejudging him too harshly? I mean, it's hard to know. I mean, to be fair, we haven't seen his damage yet, so we'll see whenever that lifts. Oh, by the way, I don't know if I've mentioned this in a video, but I think it's for the end of the community week stuff. There's going to be the raid trivia dungeon. I think there's going to be like promo codes. There's going to be some free rewards, and it's just a fun little show with me, Deadwood, YSD, and Scratch. It was really cool. We all flew over to Warsaw in Poland to record. It was actually the same studio that we did for the award show last year. This one was a lot more chill, I will say. I was just kicking back in some goofy clothes and having some fun time. But if we come down here, are you going for the Lysanthier Beastbane fusion? Only 12% said yes. Let's say of the still deciding, even best case scenario, if it was like 20-80, yeah. I will say on this though, I wouldn't worry too much because of course we mentioned Trunda. You know, Trunda will do many times, over 20 times more damage than this. So you would never be using Lysanthier with Fina when you can use Trunda. It's certainly, he could be an interesting option in the future if they ever nerf Trunda. I don't know if they ever will. But yeah, I feel like, you know, I don't know. At least I'm not talking too much about Hydra. I'm just kind of having fun. It sort of feels a bit forgotten. We do have, by the way, right now as well, 2x Ancient Shards with a 10x for Kaldor. He's Faction Unity, so I think that's good. I think any Faction Unity event is pretty darn good because you can't usually get those champions. They're usually pretty good champs. And what do we know is factually definitely upcoming content. Faction Wars Hard is confirmed to be coming. I think they gave us a roadmap and it's coming after Siege. Let me see if I can find that roadmap. No, I was trying to find it. They definitely put out a new roadmap recently, but I can't find it. But we do know, for example, obviously Faction Wars Hard is coming up probably really soon. And there is, I'm sure they talked about it here as well, but Siege, here it is. Siege, they're expanding Siege in the future. And guess what? Faction Unity champs are pretty good in Siege. So Hard Faction Wars and more Siege stuff, basically the two bits of upcoming content that are probably going to be the content for mid 2025, and then I assume there's going to be something big and new for the end of 2025. It's their fairly standard release cadence. There's always something big for the end of the year. Faction unities are pretty big. Yeah. So anyway, speaking of faction unity, let's pull for a faction unity. Tetsuya, the Deliverer. I think he's got tons of potential. I never got to test this guy. I think he looks cool, but he is a massive damage. It's better if we see his base stats, eh? He's massive damage dealer in a faction with some very strong damage dealers. And in particular, in this faction, as a big damage dealer, he has Lady Mikage. If you've got her, he's got Shuzen. he's got some good champions to support him. You could even do some other stuff like potentially like Kimmy and so on. Definitely lacking like a good reviver or someone to keep him alive. This faction does struggle with it for sure. So yeah, we'll see. I'm expecting Shadowkin to be one of the harder factions for Faction Wars. I'm like, I think we can expect probably Barbarians and Sacred Order to be quite easy because there's so many champions been given for those factions. I'd say, like, for example, Ogren might be quite difficult. They just don't do many events for Ogren because they're kind of ugly. People like the cool champs more. There's lots of Shadowkin, but they are very squishy. So yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, he's a massive damage dealer, 100% turn meter steal, and 2 turns of True Fear on a 4-turn cooldown when booked. Can't be resisted with one ally or blocked, which is nice. Starts getting more damage the more speed. Either he could have really low speed, they could have very high speed, or which might work for Arena. Or more likely, he's going to have good speed, and you're going to put increased speed on him and decreased speed on the enemy for bosses and stuff, like Chimera. He also does an AoE on enemies with high turn meter and steals all of them with True Fear. It's like an Arman's type move that's also a ridiculously hard-hitting nuke. So I think he's going to be a god for Faction Wars, basically. Gets turn meter when enemies get turns, makes turn meter stuff better, makes your team immune to turn meter reduction effects, and yeah, he starts getting more damage when his turn meter's filled. One interesting thing, he can fill the turn meter of his whole team with 10%, and that's a great synergy with Mikage with the ally attack and the A1. Now, a slight problem, though, which I didn't think about before. This A1, and if he's built as your big damage, you really want Mikage to be pulling him in with her A1 every single time, but it is a random ally from the Shadowkin faction. So let's say we're running like Mikage with Tetsuya, and I don't know, let's say we're running him with Riho and Lady Kimmy. I don't know, just random. Let's say in Arena, we're running like Shuzen, Yumiko, Mikage, and Tetsuya. Arena sort of team. There's only a 1 in 3 chance Mikage pulls in Tetsuya for massive damage on the A1. She might pull in Shuzen or Yumiko for, well, not massive damage. And then, of course, his A2. 2 extra hits if the target's turn meter is less than 50%, and he ignores defense equal to the target's current turn meter. So in a perfect world, in fact, it synergizes quite well with the AoE over here, where he will steal the turn meter if they've more than 50%. So you steal all of that, and then you'll hit the 2 extra hits. Boom, boom. And if they were at, like, the ideal would be if they're at 49% turn meter. If they're 49% turn meter, you get 4 hits, and you get to ignore 49% defense. That's juicy. There are some fun synergies. But yeah, he seems like just a big damage dealer. I think he seems relatively straightforward. In this summon pool, we do have some good champs as well. I don't have most of these champions, so it's pretty good for me. I've got Jintoro, I've got a couple Michinakis, and I've got Lady Kimmy now, but I don't have the rest. And again, they could all be decent for Faction Wars hard. Even Tatsu is definitely the worst of these, for sure, but she does have an AoE decrease resistance sleep. Is it good? Not really, but it might be useful for Faction Wars. The epics for anyone going in with your one of these pulls, by the way, is the free-to-play pull. Well, not well, it's sort of free-to-play, but it is quite endgame, which is it's certainly the most accessible one, the one you can get for free from the Gear Ascension tournament, though it is quite a bit of an energy grind. There's some good epics in here. Taragi. I'd say there's more bad epics than good, though. So I'm not too sold on the epics. This feels like more one you're really hoping for a legendary. Let's see. These prisms are rarely good to me. I don't know if it's a good decision. Oh, but they're good today, boys. They're good today. Look at that. Oh, my God. All right. Pulling for prisms is the best idea ever. Confirmed. I wonder if these ratings are a bit low. I'm obviously going to build him and test him. I wonder, I used 5-star Ninja. Will this guy compare to Ninja? I don't know. One problem as well, we're going to have to get a soul for him. That's going to hold us back, but we've got him. And now, look, you see the headline. This is actually really interesting to show you guys, because I've obviously never done this before. If you get the headline champion, which I've never done, the headline disappears, and now you just have the 6% chance for the regular legendaries. You can only get the headline champion once. I think that was because of the Teox event, where people just went crazy and got multiple Teoxes, and double Teox teams are a thing. and obviously empowered Teox is the thing. And I think they're like, no, we want people to wail out. Maybe it's kind of interesting. They don't want you to just infinitely keep pulling on the same summon pool. They want you to, I guess, wail for multiple events. It's interesting when you think about it from their perspective. Why is that? Right. So that would be it, guys. That's great. I tell you what. Again, remember one of those polls. We did it in one poll. 2% chance, and we got it. 1 in 50. But think about it that way. If there's a 1 in 50 shot to get the Faction Unity guy, if all of you guys that are free to play and far enough in the game to complete that Gear Ascension tournament went and did it, 1 in 50 of you would have a Tetsuya. That's a lot of the viewers when you think about it, really. It's crazy. Let's see. Can we get more? Can we get more? Oh, I thought for a second we'd be back to back. Hey, there's Taragi the Frog. I think the best epic out of these. I will take it. Epic again. I mean, I don't really mind. Sachi, I think, has good potential. I think people don't know about her too much. Now, she does do a really bad revive when you kill an enemy. Not great. Now, I think this is good, though. 50% chance to put fear on all enemies whenever an ally is revived. That's actually pretty good for Faction Wars to control enemy waves. Doesn't work probably against any of the bosses. Certainly none of the existing bosses. I don't know. Faction Wars hard, but definitely for controlling waves is good. Then she's got increased attack with turn meter fill, and she attacks. Decreased crit rate leech, I think, is going to be amazing for bosses. And then A1 is an AoE with decreased accuracy. I actually think she's a great champion for Faction Wars. She was nerfed at one point, though. She had, if you can believe it, she was even more well endowed before. Or maybe she was just standing in a more seductive way. Again, that's an interesting change that they made. I think she was like bending over, like sticking the front and the back out for prime viewing pleasure. And clearly they decide. I wonder if they decided, nah, it's a bit too lewd. I don't know. I've no idea. Oh, it's a Taragi the Frog. It's hard to get better prism pulls than these. I mean, if we had more legendaries, then yes. Okay, here's a dud. Chinoru. You know what? I have to say, I think Chinoru, visually, I think she's one of the cooler champions. I actually really like her design. It's kind of simplistic. It's that mix between a bit more realistic than many of the champions in the game, while still being very much, like with the silly skirt thing, very much fantasy. But she's one of the more grounded designs. It's a pity that she's not better. 3 hits at random with weaken. AoE removes increased defense. And then A1 that can put block buffs. Highly. No, I can tell you right now. I mean, there's no chance we use her. And it's an epic to end it. It's another Sachi. Wow. Well, we're going to have a really empowered Sachi, because I think my Sachi does need it. Hot diggity dogs. We got the Faction Unity, though. Oh, YST is going to be so jealous, bro. Okay, so I've got more than an empowered Sachi. She's like uber empowered. Okay, we'll have a +4. I don't have a soul for her, sadly, but that's cool. She's good with cruelty, good with stun set as well, potentially, if you wanted, or just build her for damage. She's an interesting champ, pretty underrated. And then Taragi, ooh, nice. My Taragi's only +1, so that's actually pretty juicy. Great, get him up to whatever. We check Shinoru for the sake of it. Sure, why not? There she is. I've got +2. I've got a 5-star +2. Never. Well, apparently I did use her at one point. She's got some Faction Wars gear from the looks of it, from back in the day. But there we go. We've got the one red dot, and it is Tetsuya the Deliverer. Ooh, that's spicy. Unfortunately, I will say, I think without Shuzen, I think he's kind of unusable in Arena and very difficult to use him in Siege. I think if I get Shuzen, it sort of becomes a speed race. Who has the faster Shuzen? But, yeah, let's freaking go. We got it. We actually got it. Tetsuya the Deliverer. Welcome home. Welcome to the account. This is my 3rd Faction Unity. I've got some good ones. Tetsuya. I've got Fina, who is one of the best. One of the best. I've rated Fina as easily in the top 3. She is probably the best for PvE, but she does require manual play, which is, for me, a downside, but there's no questioning her power. I'd say the other top ones, Teox and Volcanos, are extremely, extremely good. I'm curious how Tetsuya is going to measure up. I haven't really seen enough info on him. And by the way, I do think Kaldor is solid as well. Kaldor's getting some good reviews. And He hits hard. He's going to be very beginner friendly because he's got a big decreased defense weaken, enemy max HP hit. He self buffs, which will give him enough crit rate. He gets lots of turns. He's got an AoE A1 with stun. I think he's going to be a faction war menace, siege menace, and just a great champion for progression in general. I think Tetsuya, I do think if you get your Tetsuya like me, you get lucky, you get him. I think you're going to probably have to wait for Mikage. I think when you get Mikage, him plus Mikage is probably almost good enough. Just turn meter effects are stronger. You don't even... You might as well run him with Mikage. I guess he doesn't really need it. The 2 faction allies is a nice damage boost, and so is that. I think it's the 2 faction allies. So Mikage plus one other is when he starts to become pretty cool. You know what might work reasonably well? Him plus Riho. Or, here's an idea. Tetsuya with Shuzen and Riho. Shuzen brings you increased attack, crit rate, crit damage, and instant turns, and she's going to bring you speed manipulation. She's going to bring block active skills. Riho is going to bring burn, decreased defense, weaken, decreased attack, decreased crit rate, and obviously healing and cleansing and block debuffs. And then Tetsuya in there brings the true fear. You could replace Lydia. Yeah? You could drop Lydia. You've got the block active skills. You've got the decreased defense and weaken. And you've got the true fear. So there you go. You could drop out Lydia for Riho, run Tetsuya plus Shuzen, or potentially Tetsuya plus Mikage, get block active skills elsewhere. It's definitely opening up some potential. Now, of course, I don't have Riho or Shuzen and might never get them. Jingwan maybe could come in as well. I think he does block active skills, block buffs. Yeah, there's some potential here. Anyway, guys, I guess I should go build my Tetsuya. Bit of whaling for prism shards has paid off. I don't think it's ever paid off before. I should mention my other. I do have 2 Vizigs. I might have got one from a free prism or something. Vizig has for me yet to be particularly useful. He is very good for siege, but you need Gizmak, and he is going to be obviously god tier for faction wars. So yeah, Tetsuya in the bag. There you go. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Hey, good day. Good day.